Lisa Ferrand from 3CR's Solidarity Breakfast program, and we're going to have a chat to Lisa about the show and also how you can be involved.
My name's Viv Malo and I do the Black Bloc on Mondays, and it's a show about local issues and Aboriginal issues around the country. I guess the first the first time I came across 3CR would have been at rallies. I guess I was becoming more conscious myself of the world and starting to get active and pay attention and learn things, and so I met Robbie Thorpe, who's a long-time broadcaster here, who I've been run with ever since. Basically seems to have a knack for finding good things in the world and the community. Yeah, I just saw what they were doing and realised, it did seem a bit daunting. I just thought, these fellas can do it. And I saw how the organisation was with the Aboriginal broadcasters. Just seemed a friendly place, it was welcoming. So I took the next step, did the training. Yep. And just went from there, come up with a concept, which is something that we do anyway. This is not something we just do on radio. It's sort of a focus point, I guess, where we can bring it all together. We are talking about these things 24/7, really.
Hello, my name's Dennis Evans. I've been at the community radio station 3CR for approximately 39 years. 3CR was set up in 1975. I became involved in 3CR in 1977. So 3CR covers a whole gamut of issues involving our community, and we are involved in the whole community. And we're privileged in one way that when our licence was granted in 1975, we are allowed to project a particular bias. We don't have to be like other community radio stations where we ask one person's view, then we have to ask another person's view. We are totally biased. We're biased in favour of workers. We're biased in favour of the Indigenous community, lesbian and gays, the whole gamut of community issues. We're not a station that just sits back and does nothing. If there's something going on, 3CR will be involved in it. If there's a march going on, if there's a protest going on, we don't just talk about it, we get involved in it.
So I'm Vicky Ferrada, and I present and coordinate the show called Mafalda, which is a feminist program in Spanish. I got involved in 1997 because the show lost a bit of the momentum for the presenters. So a woman that stayed longer, she wanted to reshuffle the program, so she invited a few of us. And we started with 6 women, out of which I am the last one standing. So I've been running the show since 1997.
My name's Alex Kakafekas is my surname. I've kind of been an activist, sort of involved in Melbourne for the past 10 years or so. I've been actively involved in campaigns. I do a show called The Greek Resistance Bulletin, which is on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. We present news, updates, interviews and analysis on the social situation in Greece from the perspective of the extra-parliamentary left and social movements, where we don't really cover the parliament too much. We're mainly about kind of street campaigns, what's going on, issues of police repression, refugee solidarity work, which is a very big part of what the movements do in Greece.
My name is Aziza Hussain. And originally I'm from Sudan, and over there I worked as a journalist and a column writer. I had the opportunity to produce a show, 1-hour show, about Sudanese women in Australia. And that as part of 3CR station special programming in National Women's Day. It gives me the confidence to produce radio show, and also there is strong feedback from my community. Can I say I'm a journalist, and I used to always to listen to things that people are not willing to talk about.
My name is Vasilios Papaioannou. In brackets, Bill the Greek. In Melbourne University, they call me Bill the Greek. I started the show as a sort of supplementary from another fella, Theo Marcus. And after I continued on the show for 3-4 years, and then they left all these guys, and I took the show by myself, 1 hour. Then I make it 2 hours, and now I have 3 hours, nearly 27 years. I never missed a show, even sick, I be here. Plus, I'm agriculturist, and helping the Greek community how to grow plants, especially the garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, and such things, how to pruning the trees, what sort of fertilizers, and all this sort of stuff. And I play traditional music, not rubbish from the street.
Hi, my name's Corey, and I do a show called Earth Matters. So in Brisbane, I was involved in the Brisbane Aboriginal Sovereign Embassy, and so when I moved to Melbourne, I guess I had an introduction to Uncle Robbie Thorpe, and I'd heard him talking at events before, and he said that 3CR was the best radio station in Melbourne because it was the only radio station that had Aboriginal sovereignty in its constitution, and that I guess lived that philosophy as well.
My name's Kerry Lee Harding, and I've got a program here at 3CR. It's called Black Noise Radio every Thursday at 2 p.m. I've been at 3CR Radio. First started off here about 20 years ago, where we first started off our Aboriginal radio station test broadcasts here for the community. So I've got a long history with the 3CR mob, and in between that time, I'd gone and broadcast at ABC Radio for many years, and just recently, in more recent years, have come back to also work on the Beyond the Bars project, which is a prison radio project for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander inmates in Victoria, and also doing Black Noise once a week, which is great. Yeah.
My name is Ayan. I'm one of the co-presenters of Tuesday Breakfast. There's 3 other girls, so that makes all 4. Yeah. And we divide the work between producing, editing, presenting. The main topics that we cover, because Tuesday Breakfast is a feminist, we always take a feminist framework. So we like to look at issues that promote gender equality. And me in particular, I like to interview a black woman or black people who identify as women, if that makes sense. I mainly look at issues to do with race. So I'll interview someone on mental health, and then I will look at it from a racial lens. What does it mean to be a black woman who experiences mental health challenges? Is that any way different? What's it like to receive professional help? Is it catered to people like me? Do they take my issues on board, or do they take an individual approach to counselling and so on?
We call it the truth, I guess, of the country, of the history of the nation, of the narrative, I guess, how things that we're dealing with now, and they just come out of nowhere. So we try to correct the narrative of the lies of the past, including the get-go, I guess, occupation, settlement, words we use. I try to dissect words a lot. I guess point out the hypocrisy and the contradictions as we see it, and then and it's not something that's I see done anywhere else. It's not mainstream by any means. Yeah.
My show came about many years ago in 1991, because there was a felt need in the Spanish-speaking community of a show that will inform women about the rights, specifically about family violence. There was a high incidence of family violence, and women didn't know where to go for help. So a group of social workers and community development workers got together, and they saw the best way to get to our community was through a radio show. So they approached 3CR, and they got half an hour slot to produce a program in Spanish for our women, for our families, Spanish-speaking families. Family violence is the main topic, and everything that derives from that: health, housing, social issues, women's rights, children's rights, and yes, we speak about everything, and it's not only women presenting the show. We usually also have men coming to the show and talking about topics that are of relevance to our community. So it's a program that is open for everybody, really.
The Beyond the Bars program's been running for many years now, getting close to 20 years, which is pretty deadly, and was first started off by a group of broadcasters here at 3CR Radio who really wanted the people who are locked up behind bars, our brothers and sisters, they really wanted their voices to be heard. So taking radio directly in for the inmates to get their voices heard seemed like a really good way to do it. Beyond the Bars happens each year at NAIDOC Week. You know, NAIDOC Week is a week for us blackfellas to celebrate. So for the inmates to have their voice heard within this week out to the audience, out to their family members, is a really wonderful thing. So we do a series of workshops leading up to the July NAIDOC week period in which we do the radio shows, but the workshops are spent with the brothers and sisters on the inside at the various correctional facilities, working on radio techniques and working on content as well that we're going to really flesh out during the NAIDOC week broadcast. So it's a good opportunity, those workshops as well, to build up a rapport and a bond with the inmates from on the inside as well, between us broadcasters here at 3CR, the blackfellas, and our brothers and sisters on the inside.
Most of the listeners don't know me as Dennis Evans, they know me as the bag man, right? Because I did work in the trade union movement, and we did raise a lot of money for the nurses dispute, the maritime dispute, the tramways dispute back in 1982. So I've been labelled the bag man. Oh, look, we're a current affairs program, so we cover everything that you can read about in the newspapers, we hear about in the community, you can see on television, but we have a different perspective upon the news footage that is presented to the mainstream population. It's a given that we get riled up. I used to read the Herald Sun to get motivated and get mad for the rest of the day, but I don't do that anymore. I just have to listen to mainstream media to get riled up. But we do get riled up about a lot of things, like, you know, workers being ripped off and trade unions that don't represent their workers, because we are a trade union station, but we are a genuine trade union station. Unlike some unions that we see in the mainstream media at the moment that aren't doing what they should be to represent their members.
I guess the environment is a really broad topic. You know, I guess it's kind of about, you know, on one hand it's about how people are wrecking the environment, but it's also about people's connection to the environment, and the ways that communities are coming together to protect the environment as well. Yeah, so I think that's a real focus of the show, at least for me. I try to have maybe a positive message so that the listeners feel like, you know, that maybe they could also take action to protect the environment. I consider the main audience for Earth Matters to be other activists, and so I try and make shows to appeal to people who are politically active and discuss these sort of issues.
The topics that I like to discuss, not so much topics, but people that I like to interview are people that I know I don't look for the like whether they've had experience being interviewed. Just I look at the content, what can they bring, and I always make sure that the end of the interview that they leave us with something that people can search up. So, you know, are there blogs? Are there do they have a blog? Do they have an event coming up? You know, what tips? So I had someone on who looked at the wage gap. And then, one of the questions that I asked was, how can we harness our feminist energy to resist things like the cashless debit card? And then, yeah, she gave some really good examples, like really practical stuff. So, so people who can give us homework to do, basically.
I try to take a lot of voice from the community. There's a strong Aboriginal community here in this urban environment, Collingwood, and it has been for some time, and it's got a history of struggle as well. There's underneath, you know, the superficial, there's depth, and I want to dive into that depth and get the stories. Yeah, I don't think I would enjoy having limits put around my voice now so I'm here for good.
My show is important to my community because I get people ringing up and saying, you don't know me, but I've been listening to you for many years. And this particular topic today, let's say something really drastic, something really bad, she or he, they may say, and I totally agree with you, and because they can feel that I'm sad or I'm angry, they say, I feel for you and I'm here for you. So it's a two-way thing. And also with 3CR, I think it is important that people is connected, the community is connected to the station through us. I do a lot of community events and I play music, so people approach me because of the music. But at the same time, when I promote community events and they know that I'm going to be playing in there, they come and they approach me and they talk about the program. They talk about Mafalda and the way that the program has impacted into their lives.
Every Saturday for a couple of hours for about a month, we'd come in. They'd train us on the technical aspects of presenting the show, of how to use the software that we use in order to record a program, but also presentation style, defamation law, and what our obligations were as broadcasters, what we could say on air and what we couldn't. That's actually a mandatory part of the training. Everything else is sort of, you can opt in and out, but that everyone that goes on air has to do that. And the trust they give you. They give you the right to broadcast in the way you want. They don't have a house style. They don't insist that you know, it's not like the ABC where you have to speak a certain way or you have to present in a certain way. They understand that part of being a sort of place where unique voices get a hearing is letting those voices speak in the way they want to. And for us, that's been really great. A really great experience here at 3CR.
As I say, community radio is good for the community, and people, elderly people, usually, they waiting for this sort of programs, all different nationalities. Doesn't matter if it's a Greek, Italian, Lebanese, whatever. All the elderly people love the 3CR because they play the music, the songs. Years ago there was two old people, they play Nostalgia Limited. They have the same show again. And it's tremendously to hear a lot of lovely old songs. And it's beautiful for the people, for the elderly people.
In Sudan, it's different because we are accustomed to boundaries and we know our limits, what we can and what we can't say. But there are, here in Australia, there are like few restrictions. 3CR, I think it's a huge history and still going. more than 42 years, voices of different ethnic societies here in Melbourne, which it is like, it's amazing. So for 1 hour or 2 hours or 30 minutes, they bring you home.
Oh, it's helped me exponentially, just broaden my horizons, and still does, you know. Just the range of people you meet and the things you learn. You learn stuff about the world and how it all, you know, fits in the jigsaw puzzle, I guess.
Yeah, I think in a local sense it's very open place. People come in off the street, and people come in from, you know, sometimes people come from overseas just because they've heard about 3CR, they've heard about the politics, and they want to have a chat. So I think that's really cool. I think a lot of planning and political organisation goes on in the courtyard. It's just like a kind of dingy courtyard with, you know, crappy furniture, and it smells like cigarettes, and it's it's got a couple of trees, but you know, like, you know, huge campaigns have been planned there. You know, ideas have been hatched up, connections have been formed. So I think it's a really amazing activist resource. And I think I've seen a lot of people come through 3CR and I guess gain a lot of confidence, gain a lot of knowledge, and just, I don't know, maybe, you know, found themselves or found something that they're looking for. So that's really cool.
I think it's really important for the community to have a radio station like 3CR because it's completely independent, Plus they're a beautiful group of fun-loving people here who are ever so supportive. Particularly, I think, for us blackfella broadcasters, we have a number of programs broadcasting each day on 3CR radio, and for, you know, this mob to give us a voice each day on the airwaves, you can't get any better than that.
Oh, 3CR is my therapy. Oh, absolute therapy. This is where I unload every Friday morning. This is where I get things off my chest that I feel passionate about. So it gives me relief, and it provides the therapy for me to continue on with the work that I do. And I've worked in the trade union movement for 40 years for various unions, but now that I've retired, I find that 3CR really gives me the opportunity to, it's like being on the couch.
It's a radio that we say in Spanish, sin pelos en la lengua, which means we have no hair in the tongue, so we can talk freely about things. So it's very welcoming. The community at 3CR is a very friendly community, and we feel free to speak about topics that are really important to us, the community. We don't have anyone telling us you can talk about this, or yet we have a media law, we follow that, and we have to have training, and we respect that the media law, but we are also free to express ourselves. And also I found that this is a way of many communities that don't have a voice, they can have a voice through 3CR.
The 3CR give me that voice because I believe on me, believe on the show, and I'm not really exaggerated to say lies. I like to say the truth. If I don't have a knowledge or idea, I say even to the listeners, hold on, I'm going to study tomorrow morning, I'm going to find the right person, I'm going to give the questions, and I bring it to you next week.
Well, in a time when there's sort of like shrinking media diversity, and the government just passed the law saying, giving kind of big media the right to sort of consolidate further. Places like 3CR are really, really important, and also Channel 31 as well. That we, it's a really important source of information, but also just like people that have no access to media get the right to kind of have programs. There's community language shows from lots of communities that maybe SBS don't feel like they're big enough community to have like a lot of airtime, but they get their hour or their half hour every week here at 3CR, and that's really valued by people in those communities. There's Stick Together, there's trade union programs, but also there's the music and nostalgia shows as well, are really popular and really important to people. It's sort of music you don't hear many places, and it's important that 3CR continues for that reason.
So I'm a veteran of community radio, and an absolute pleasure to be involved with 3CR over that time.
It's amazing that 3CR gives a voice to so many different perspectives, and that people from, often differing viewpoints can all get together, in the one organisation and make radio together. It's actually like a bit of a miracle that, 400 volunteers can work together. That's, pretty amazing. Yeah.
3CR is a really important place because it enables us as broadcasters or Aboriginal broadcasters to maintain our independence when reporting, when working on the content within our programs. It's 3CR Radical Radio. I wouldn't want to work anywhere else.
So you've been here for 27 years?
27 years.
Wow, that's a long run.
I hope I do it until I'm 100.
Yeah.
I'm 74. Yesterday I have my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday for you.
Thank you.